Welcome friends. In this part, we'll start a new topic of normal and abnormal loss. And this is the chapter of consignment, which is part of paper number 1, Principles and Practice of Accounting. Now, what is the meaning of normal loss and abnormal loss? Normal loss, as the name suggests, these are the losses which are very much normal. Normal in the sense that we can easily predict these losses. We already know about these losses. These losses are not new to us. We already know about them. We know that these losses will be incurred in any case. They can't be prevented. Okay. So these losses are the known losses. As you can see here, these are the known losses, plus these are unavoidable losses. That means these losses, we can't avoid them. We cannot do any effort in avoiding these losses. They will happen. In every case, they will happen. Okay. Why they are unavoidable? Because the reason is written here, due to the inherent features of goods. The goods are of such nature that this loss will happen in any case. For example, suppose the good is a delicate product, a very, very delicate product, and we know that some quantity might be 2% to 5% of that consignment, of that stock, will be broken in any case. We can't prevent it from breaking. Okay, so this kind of loss is called normal loss. And why this loss is incurred? Why this loss is happening? Because the goods are of such nature. Similarly, second example, you can see here, the oil products, the oil. We know that oil has an inherent feature that it will get evaporated as it interacts with the nature. You can't prevent its evaporation. Yes, you can reduce the rate of its evaporation, but you can't prevent it. So this kind of loss is called normal loss, which we cannot prevent in any case. Okay. Opposite to this is the abnormal loss. Abnormal losses, these are unexpected losses. They are unknown to us. We never knew about them. They have happened incidentally. They have happened accidentally, in fact. That means we had no prediction about them. They have happened spontaneously. So these losses can be avoided. How can these be avoided? Let us see their example. For example, loss by fire, loss by theft, loss by any calamity. These kind of losses are called unknown losses, abnormal losses. Can these be avoided? See friends, we can't avoid natural calamities from happening. But the goods that have been damaged, the goods could be saved. How could they be saved? By placing them at some other place. It might be possible that those goods were stored at some other place, and this way they could be saved. Okay, so we can say that these losses can be saved. These losses can be avoided. So these kind of losses are called abnormal loss. Very important thing from accounting point of view is written at the end. What is that? It is written that normal losses are treated as the part of cost of goods, as the part of cost of good units. They are treated as the part of cost of good units. I think you will not understand this right now. You'll have to wait, and I'll tell you its meaning with the help of an example. And similarly, we can see here, in abnormal loss, it is written that they are not treated as the part of cost. Now, what is the meaning of this? That I'll tell you. Let us see an example. For the time being, I'm giving you an example which is in no way related to our topic, but with the help of that example, you will better understand this topic. See friends, suppose there is a house. Let me make a house. Now in this house, suppose 6 people are living. Let me indicate them. These are 4 people. These are other 2 people. Okay. So in all we can say that 6 people are living. right? This house has to incur an expense. Let us say an expense is incurred related to this house, and the amount of the expense which is incurred is rupees 60,000. Let us say that some repairing activity has to be carried on this house, or maybe some taxes are to be paid on this house. Let us say that expense is of rupees 60,000. Now tell me, friends, who will bear the burden of this rupees 60,000? So the obvious answer is that these 6 people are going to bear the burden of this expense, right? This expense this cost have to be borne by 6 people living in the house. Now suppose out of these 6 people, these 2 people are not earning. They are not earning people. That means they do not earn any amount. Okay. Whereas these 4 people earn a lot of incomes. So they are the earning ones. And these are not the earning ones. So in another language, I can say that these are the good people and these are the bad people. We can call it like this, that the 4 people of this house are earning people. So we can call them, they are good people. And the 2 who are not earning, we can call them, they are bad people. Suppose this whole is a joint family. So let me assume that this is a joint family and these 6 people live in this joint family. Now just tell me, friends, just tell me the practical situation, that this expense of rupees 60,000 cannot be borne by the 2 people, right? They can't bear it. Why they can't bear it? Because they are not earning. How can they bear its burden? They do not earn. So they are the bad people in our language. But will this expense be borne by the 4 people? What practically happens? Just tell me. This is a joint family. And as we know that the culture of India is that in case of joint families, if 2 people are not earning, then the remaining 4 people will say, oh, don't mind, we are there. We'll bear the burden of the whole house. So this is what will happen. Is it right? So the good people will say, the earning people will say that don't worry, this 60,000 expense will be borne by us. That means 60,000 expense will be borne by 4 people. So what will be the share of per person? What will be the per person share? Rupees 15,000 per. Right? This is the amount that each of the 4 good people will have to bear. Am I clear? Okay. Now, let me show you another case. This is another house. And this house once again suffers from the same situation, that it has 4 people living in it who are income earners. Let us say these are the good people, earning people, right? And another two people are not earning. So we can call them bad. They are not earning, right? And once again, this house has to suffer from an expense of rupees 60,000. Now tell me, friends, in this case, if I consider that these 2 are separate families, these are not joint families, this is not a joint family, these are nuclear families. These are 2 different families. Now what will happen? What will happen? Just tell me. Will the 4 good people say that don't mind, we'll bear the burden? No, this time they will not say like this. They will say that you are different family, we are different family. You will also bear the burden and we will also bear the burden. But the bad people will say, how can we bear the burden? Then again the good people will say that we don't know. It is your concern. You will only have to bear the burden. Is it right? Because this is not a joint family this time. They are not the part of same family. They are different people. Okay. So now in this case, what will happen? that this rupees 60,000 expense will be borne by all 6 people. How will it be borne? See friends, this 60,000 rupees burden will be borne by all 6 people. So what will be the share of each person? What will be the share of each person? Rupees 10,000 each. Rupees 10,000 per. Right. So let me ask you, how much burden will be faced by the good people? We'll say good people will bear the burden of rupees 10,000 per person. And bad people will also bear the same burden of rupees 10,000 per person. So both of them will have to bear the same amount. Whereas in the previous case, just see at the left side, what was happening in the last case? The whole burden of 60,000 was borne by 4 good people. And that's why the share of good people was very much high. They had to share 15,000 rupees per person, but this time their share is just rupees 10,000 per person. Why? Because they are not sharing the whole cost. The whole cost is shared by all 6 people, not only the good ones. Have you understood this concept? Now, if you have understood this example, then you will easily understand the concept of normal loss and abnormal loss. How? See friends, in the left situation, you can consider this 60,000 just a normal loss. Okay. Now, if this is a normal loss, what will happen? Suppose 2 units become bad. Now this time I am not considering them the members of family. They are not the people right now. Now they become the units of goods. Okay. Now suppose these are the bad units. Bad units means they have been lost. They have been destroyed. And 4 units are good. 4 are the good units. Now if this is the situation of normal loss, 60,000 rupees is the normal loss, then who will bear the loss of rupees 60,000? Only the good units will bear the burden. And what will be the cost shared by them? They will all share the cost of rupees 15,000 per unit. Per unit. Right? Why? Because the bad units are bad. They can't bear the burden. So the good units say that don't worry, we are going to bear the burden. But this is the case only when the loss is a normal loss. But what will happen if the loss is an abnormal loss? What will happen? If the loss is abnormal loss, in that case, the good units will bear the burden of only their share. That means how much burden will they bear? The 60,000 amount of expense will be shared among all 6 units. So the per unit cost will be rupees 10,000 and the good units will bear the burden according to their liability. That means they will bear the burden of rupees 40,000 only. And the remaining 20,000 will be borne by the bad units. In this way, the amount of 60,000 is divided between the two. Good bear the burden of 40,000 and bad bear the burden of rupees 20,000. Okay. This is what is called the abnormal loss. Thank you very much, friends.